Canada, vast, raw and free from coast to coast. Vancouver, where ocean mist meets mountain air and nature flows through every street and shoreline. This May-long weekend, we're flying to Vancouver, British Columbia, a city suspended between sea and sky. Keep watching and explore with us everything this city has to offer. Vancouver is one of the most livable cities in the world, and it's easy to see why. Surrounded by ocean, mountains, and rainforest, it's a place where you can hike in the morning, eat sushi by the water at lunch, and catch sunset from a downtown rooftop. It's also one of the most diverse cities in Canada. Over half the population speaks a first language other than English. As the plane wheels touched down, a soft drizzle greeted us, Vancouver's signature welcome mat. The sky wore a heavy gray coat, and the clouds hung low, almost brushing the tops of the buildings. It was a typical first day in this coastal city, rainy, moody, and quietly beautiful. They don't call it Vancouver for nothing. In fact, Vancouver gets about 165 rainy days a year. That's nearly half the calendar soaked in mist and drizzle. But the locals don't seem to mind. Here, rain isn't a setback. It's just the price of living in a city hugged by mountains and kissed by the Pacific. There's a rhythm to the rain here, a softness. It doesn't rush, it whispers, and somehow it makes the glass towers glisten and the streets feel cinematic, like the city itself is caught in a never-ending movie scene. From the airport, we hopped on the Canada Line, a sleek, driverless metro that glides through the heart of Vancouver. In about 25 minutes, we arrived at Waterfront station, where the city meets the sea. This is the north edge of downtown, where glass towers rise over the harbor and float planes take off like birds skimming the water. Just steps away stands Canada Place, one of Vancouver's most iconic landmarks. Its white sail-like roof stretches into the sky, mimicking the masts of ships that once docked here. Part cruise terminal, part convention center, part postcard. It's a symbol of the city's maritime soul. From the promenade, you can see the mountains across Burrard Inlet, their peaks often shrouded in mist. On a clear day, you might catch a snowcap glinting in the distance. But even in the rain, it's dramatic. Even beneath the mist and gray skies, Vancouver knows how to surprise you. There's color here, if you're paying attention. Rhododendrons burst from the trees like confetti. Their petals glisten in the rain, soft, delicate, and quietly defiant. It's this contrast that defines the city. Steel and glass mirrored by soft blooms, cloudy skies lit up by unexpected pockets of color. After exploring Canada Place and the waterfront promenade, we headed into the downtown streets. Even on a gloomy gray day like today, there's something really satisfying about walking through this city. You can't help but notice the contrast between old and new buildings. Historic brick facades, standing side by side with sleek glass towers. Water fountains splash quietly in small plazas, and pockets of greenery soften the urban landscape. It's a mix that feels alive, calm, and inviting all at once. After strolling through the downtown streets, we headed back and checked into our Airbnb to take a short break. Closer to late afternoon, the rain finally began to taper off. The air still felt damp, but the city was calm and quiet, perfect for a little more exploring. We decided to walk toward Falls Creek. The fresh scent of rain on pavement mixed with ocean air as we made our way down to the waterfront. From there, we hopped on one of the small Falls Creek ferries, just a few minutes across the water, to Heritage Harbor. The harbor was peaceful, dotted with charming old boats and a few locals enjoying the now dry weather. We took our time hiking along the beaches nearby, watching the clouds lift slowly above the skyline. We walked near the Vancouver Museum, its architecture standing out against the moody sky. The area was quiet, almost still, with only a few passers-by enjoying the break in the rain. Eventually, we made our way back on foot, this time crossing the Burrard Street Bridge. From up there, the views of the inlet and city were stunning, even under gray skies. It was the perfect way to wrap up the day. The next morning, we rented bikes and set off for a half-day ride, starting with the iconic Stanley Park Seawall, circling its lush green edges with the ocean on one side and towering trees on the other. From there, we continued east along Falls Creek, pedaling past waterfront condos, quiet marinas, and vibrant public art, soaking in the city from the saddle. The route took us past the seaplanes, boats, and great views of the mountains across the water. We kept following the shoreline until we reached Stanley Park Drive. Soon, we were on the famous Vancouver Seawall, a path that circles around Stanley Park with ocean views on one side and forest on the other. It's an easy, relaxing ride and a great way to see the city from a different angle. Our first stop inside Stanley Park was the Totem Poles, one of the most visited attractions in British Columbia. These colorful, towering poles are a way for Indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest to share stories, family histories, and cultural beliefs. Each figure carved into the wood represents an ancestor, an animal, or an event. The collection here began in the 1920s, when the first poles were brought from remote villages on the BC coast. Over time, more poles were added, created by skilled carvers from several First Nations. Today, the totem poles stand as a tribute to the rich indigenous cultures of this region, and walking among them gives you a glimpse into a tradition that is centuries old. We spent some time here, just taking in the details, the colors, the intricate carvings, and the stories that each pole silently tells. It's a spot that connects Vancouver to the land's first peoples and their heritage. We left our bikes for a bit and took a short walk along the shore. From the Seawall path, the view of Vancouver's skyline was amazing. Glass towers reflecting the water and the mountains in the background. It's a great spot to slow down, take some photos, and enjoy the mix of city and nature that makes Vancouver so unique. From there, we continued cycling and soon reached the Port of Vancouver viewpoint, where you can see the busy harbor and ships coming and going. Riding further west along the seawall, we came to the Girl in a Wetsuit statue. It was inspired by Copenhagen's Little Mermaid, but with a local twist, showing a scuba diver sitting on a rock, ready for an ocean adventure. We kept following the path toward the Lions Gate Bridge, with the huge suspension towers getting closer as we rode along the water's edge. The Lions Gate Bridge is one of Vancouver's most iconic landmarks. Opened in 1938, it stretches across Burrard Inlet, connecting downtown Vancouver to the North Shore, West Vancouver and North Vancouver. at nearly 1,500 meters long. It's a key link for anyone heading to places like Grouse Mountain, Whistler, or the coastal communities further north. Cycling under the bridge gives you a sense of how massive it is, with its tall green towers and sweeping cables. From here, the views of the city, the harbor, and the surrounding mountains are some of the best in Vancouver. As we cycled further along the west side of Stanley Park, the path became even more scenic. On our left was the steep forested cliff of the park, and on our right the open water, with West Vancouver and the mountains rising in the distance. A short ride later, we reached Seawall Rock, a tall, narrow sea stack standing 18 meters high. According to Squamish legend, it represents a man transformed into stone as a reward for his unselfishness. It's a striking sight, the lone rock standing against the ocean and mountains. And it's one of those spots where you just have to stop for a photo. From here, the seawall curves around the park, offering some of the best coastal views in Vancouver. We kept cycling toward the southeast side of Stanley Park, passing by Third Beach, a quieter spot popular with locals, and then Second Beach, which has a big outdoor pool right by the ocean. Out in English Bay, several cargo ships were anchored, waiting for their turn at the port of Vancouver. It's a reminder that this city isn't just a tourist destination, it's also one of Canada's busiest ports. To the south, you can see the West End, one of Vancouver's most vibrant neighborhoods, full of cafes, restaurants, and high-rise apartments. Beyond that is downtown Vancouver, with its glass towers reflecting the sun over the bay. This part of the seawall feels lively, with people walking, cycling, rollerblading, and enjoying the beaches along the way. From Second Beach, we continued cycling toward the city. On our left were residential buildings with balconies facing English Bay, and on our right, the greenery of Stanley Park with tall trees and lush vegetation blending beautifully with the shoreline. Soon we reached English Bay Beach, one of Vancouver's most popular beaches. It's a great spot to relax and take in the ocean views. We decided to stop here, lock up the bikes, and explore the area on foot for a while before continuing our ride. Right across from English Bay Beach is a public art piece, Amazing Laughter. It's a group of 14 giant bronze statues, each one laughing in a different pose. The statues were created by Chinese artist Yue Minjun in 2009, and they've become a favorite spot for photos and fun selfies. The idea behind the artwork is simple. Laughter is contagious. Seeing these huge figures laughing together instantly puts a smile on your face. A short ride further south along the seawall brought us to the Inukshuk, a tall stone landmark that looks like a human figure. Inukshuks have been used for centuries by Inuit peoples in the Arctic as navigational aids and markers. They guided travelers, marked hunting grounds, or served as points of reference in vast landscapes with few natural landmarks. This particular Inukshuk was built for Expo 86 and later moved to English Bay, where it became one of Vancouver's most recognizable symbols. It also inspired the logo for the 2010 Winter Olympics. Standing by the ocean with the mountains in the distance, it feels like a meeting point between ancient traditions and the modern city. From the Inukshuk, we continued cycling southeast along the seawall, passing Sunset Beach Park, a quieter stretch of sand with great views across Falls Creek. The path took us past the Vancouver Aquatic Center, a well-known spot for swimming and water sports. From here, the Seawall goes right under the Burrard Street Bridge, one of Vancouver's main bridges that connects downtown to Kitsilano. Cycling under the massive concrete arches, you get a close-up look at one of the city's busiest crossings, while the view of boats and kayaks on Falls Creek makes the ride even more scenic. We kept cycling along the Seawall and passed under the Granville Bridge. The path follows the shore of Falls Creek, with boats and kayaks gliding across the water and marinas full of sailboats on the other side. It was a sunny day, and the whole area felt lively. People walking, jogging, and enjoying the waterfront patios. Soon we reached David Lamb Park, a big green space right by the water, perfect for relaxing or having a picnic with great city views all around. We continued cycling along the north side of Falls Creek. The water was full of boats, sailboats, yachts, and even small ferries going back and forth. On our left were modern residential buildings with parks and pathways right by the water, a perfect mix of city life and nature. On the right, the creek opened up with great views of the marinas and the downtown skyline in the distance. This stretch of the Seawall feels calm and relaxing, with plenty of spots to stop and enjoy the view before continuing the ride. Soon we reached the Plaza of Nations, a popular spot along Falls Creek. On our left was BC Place, Vancouver's massive stadium with its unique retractable roof. It opened in 1983 and was completely renovated before the 2010 Winter Olympics. Today it's home to the BC Lions football team and the Vancouver Whitecaps soccer club. And it also hosts concerts and big events throughout the year. Seeing its huge white roof up close is always impressive from the Seawall. We continued along the Seawall and soon reached Creekside Park, a green space right on the edge of Falls Creek with great views of the water and the city skyline. At the end of the path stood Science World with its distinctive silver geodesic dome. Originally built for Expo 86, Science World is now a hands-on science museum and one of Vancouver's most recognizable landmarks. We crossed to the south side of Falls Creek and started cycling west. Our next quick stop was at Olympic Village Square, built for the 2010 Winter Olympics to house athletes. Here, you'll find the birds, a pair of giant sparrow sculptures created by artist Mifanwi MacLeod in 2010. The artwork plays with the idea of scale, making everyday city birds appear monumental. From Olympic Village Square, we cycled past Triangle Square, with great views of BC Place and Science World across the water on the other shore. We followed the Seaside Greenway Seawall, a scenic path lined with greenery, flowers, and small ponds along the way, passing by Spruce Harbor Marina. We could see the downtown skyline on the opposite side of Falls Creek, with its glass towers shining in the sun. This stretch of the ride felt peaceful and relaxing, surrounded by parks and gardens right next to the water. Our next stop was Granville Island Public Market, one of Vancouver's most famous attractions. Once an industrial area full of sawmills and factories, Granville Island was transformed in the late 1970s into a cultural and food hub. Today, it's home to artist studios, theaters, shops, and a bustling public market. The market itself is a paradise for food lovers. Fresh seafood, local produce, baked goods, cheeses, and handmade treats fill the stalls. Street performers often play outside, adding to the lively atmosphere. It's a perfect place to grab a snack, enjoy the view of the marina, and soak in the local vibe before getting back on the bikes. After exploring Granville Island, we headed toward the Burrard Bridge to cross back over Falls Creek. On the way, we passed the Seaford Armory, a historic military building dating back to 1936. It's home to the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada, one of the country's oldest infantry regiments, and still plays an active role in military ceremonies and training. We then crossed the Burrard Bridge, enjoying one last view of the city, the harbor, and the mountains in the distance. After a full day of cycling Vancouver's Seawall and exploring so many incredible spots, we returned our bikes and called it a day, tired but with memories of one of the best ways to see the city. The next morning, we decided to explore downtown Vancouver on foot. After a full day of cycling the Seawall, walking through the heart of the city felt like the perfect way to slow down and take in the atmosphere. Downtown Vancouver is compact and easy to navigate, with plenty of shops, cafes, and landmarks all within walking distance. Our plan was simple: wander through the busy streets, discover some local favorites, and see where the day would take us. We started our walk at the Vancouver Art Gallery, the largest art museum in Western Canada. Housed in a former courthouse built in 1906, the gallery is known for its collection of Canadian and Indigenous art. The square in front of the gallery is also a popular gathering spot, often filled with people, food trucks, and street performers. From the art gallery, we walked southeast along Georgia Street, taking in the mix of modern glass towers and stylish office buildings that shape Vancouver's skyline. After a short walk, we arrived at the Vancouver Public Library, Central Library. Its design is inspired by the Roman Colosseum, making it one of the city's most striking buildings. Inside, it's a massive public space with 9 floors of books, reading areas, and even a rooftop garden with great city views. Leaving the library, we headed onto Robson Street and began walking west. Robson is one of Vancouver's most famous streets, known for its mix of shops, cafes, and restaurants. It's always busy with both locals and tourists, making it one of the city's liveliest areas. A short walk brought us to Robson Square, a public plaza surrounded by government buildings, the law courts, and the backside of the Vancouver Art Gallery. In winter, there's even a small ice rink here. The square is a central spot where people gather, relax, and enjoy the city atmosphere. After reaching Burrard Street, we turned right and started walking north toward Canada Place. Burrard Street is beautiful, with plenty of greenery, trees lining the sidewalks, and water fountains adding to the relaxed city vibe. As we walked, we passed 2 impressive buildings. On our right was the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver, an iconic luxury hotel built in 1939, known for its castle-like design and green copper roof. Nearby stood Cathedral Place, a modern glass office tower that reflects the city's skyline. Seeing these 2 buildings side by side really shows Vancouver's mix of historic charm and modern architecture. At the north end of Burrard Street, we arrived at the Canada Place Welcome Center. Canada Place is one of Vancouver's most recognizable landmarks, with its white sail-shaped roof overlooking Burrard Inlet. It serves as a convention center, a cruise ship terminal, and a hub for visitors arriving to the city. Right next to it is the Port of Vancouver, the largest port in Canada and one of the busiest in North America. From here, cruise ships depart for Alaska, and massive cargo ships travel across the Pacific. Across the inlet, you can see the Vancouver Convention Center, another striking building with its grass-covered roof and huge glass walls. It's a key venue for international events, exhibitions, and conferences, and it's designed to blend with the waterfront environment. The combination of Canada Place on one side and the convention center on the other makes this area one of the most scenic spots in downtown Vancouver. Right next to the convention center is the Olympic Cauldron, built for the 2010 Winter Olympics held in Vancouver and Whistler. Standing over 30 feet tall, the cauldron became a symbol of the Games and Canadian pride. Our last stop in Vancouver was Queen Elizabeth Park, one of the highest points in the city and a perfect place to end our trip. We started at the Quarry Gardens, once an old rock quarry that was transformed into a breathtaking landscape. Walking through the paths, we were surrounded by colorful flowers, perfectly manicured plants, and small waterfalls. The gardens sit in a sunken area, so as you look up, you see the cliffs lined with greenery. It's hard to believe this place was once just a pit for digging rock. From here, we walked up to the Bloedel Conservatory, a giant glass dome filled with exotic plants and free-flying birds. Inside, the air is warm and humid, like stepping into a tropical rainforest. Many exotic birds live here, and the plants range from towering palms to rare orchids. It's an amazing contrast to the city outside. What makes this spot even more special is the view. Queen Elizabeth Park offers one of the best panoramas of Vancouver, with the skyline, the ocean, and the North Shore Mountains all in one frame. Standing there, it felt like the perfect farewell to this green and scenic city. To wrap up our trip, we returned to Canada Place at night. The sails were beautifully lit, and the whole waterfront had a peaceful, almost magical feel. The city lights reflected on the water, cruise ships were docked nearby, and people were strolling along the pier, enjoying the evening breeze. It was the perfect way to end our Vancouver adventure. Quiet, scenic, and full of memories of everything we had seen and done over the past few days. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you soon on the next journey.